Electronisounds Audio, the YouTube channel for you.
Hey, what's happening, friends? It's Dean from Electronisounds. Stick around. Today, I'm really excited to share with you the brand new Eventide H90 pedal. This is the follow-up to their H9 pedal, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. In this video, we're going to be taking a listen to what it sounds like, and I'm also going to share with you my top 7 features of the pedal. Come on, let's get into this. For this example, I've paired up the Poly-Ind Play Groovebox with the Future Retro Vectra synthesizer. Now the Vectra is a great pairing with any guitar pedal because it doesn't have any effects built in. To say it sounds great with the H90 is a definite understatement. And here in this example, I've chosen a really simple and basic patch in the Vectra so we can really hear what the H90 can do to these type of simple sounds. The preset is preset number 99 and it's called Gentle Arps. Let's take a listen to how much this transforms this sound. Let's talk about my very favorite features of the H90. Number 1 is that it can run 2 effects algorithms at the same time. So you can have reverb and delay, or chorus and flanger, for example, and not just one or the other. Number 2 is that it's a fully stereo unit, meaning we can actually put 2 synthesizers through it at the same time and use 2 different algorithms individually at the same time, which is pretty much like having 2 effects pedals in one. Number 3 is that it comes with more than 99 presets, and they're really easy to navigate and install the extra presets using the included H90 control app. Number 4 is the flexible routing system. This is truly a Franken pedal. I don't know of any other pedals that we can use in this manner by adding extra pedals inside of the signal chain of the main pedal. That's pretty sweet. Number 5 is that it's been really inspiring to work with. I've encountered lots of happy accidents and unexpected little magic results while exploring it. Number 6 is that it's really easy to sync up with my external devices. All I need to do is plug a MIDI cable into it that's sending clock from one of the devices, and bam, everything is synced up and all of my delay lines match up with my beats. Last but not least, number 7, there are 10 new algorithms inside of the H90 for us to explore that aren't in any of their other plugins yet. Definitely a lot of fun sonic exploration to be had with the H90. This example is really cool. I'm taking the output from my Zox box, which is a Roland TB303 emulation, and I'm routing that into the H90. I'm using preset number 88, which is called Prism Vibe, and boy, does it give an entirely different vibe to your typical 303 sound. Let's take a listen. If you've been enjoying my videos, I'd like to encourage you to support the channel by clicking that little like button under this video right here. It helps feed the YouTube algorithms so that they'll share my content with more people who might be interested in this type of synthy content. Thanks for the support, friends. For this example, I've paired the H90 up with the Synth's LXR02 drum machine, which is a great pairing with the H90 because it has a second set of assignable stereo outputs. I've got a drum beat coming out of the main outputs of the LXR, and I've taken a synthesizer sound and routed that out of the second pair of outputs directly into the H90. And what I want you to really listen for here in this example is just how much the pedal can change a synthesizer sound. Here, we're taking kind of a random generated arpeggio type of synthesizer sound and turning that into a completely interesting smeared texture type of tone. Take a listen to what this sounds like. One of the things that really excites me about the H90 is the fact that it is definitely a Franken pedal, in that we can connect up to 2 other pedals directly to the signal path of this pedal. It's a little bit different than just plugging, typical guitar pedals together in series. So let me explain a little bit about just how easy this is to do with the H90. First of all, we've got some extra inputs and outputs on the back. You don't just have a stereo pair of inputs and a stereo pair of outputs, but rather we have 4 inputs and 4 outputs. So let's assume, right, that we're running our audio signal as a stereo signal into inputs 1 and 2. And now let's assume that we'd like to either insert 2 mono guitar pedals into the chain, or we want to insert 1 stereo guitar pedal into the chain. all we need to do is take the outputs 3 and 4 as like a stereo pair and route them into our stereo pedal. We're going to route the outputs of that stereo pedal into inputs 3 and 4. It's just that simple. If we want to use 2 mono pedals, we're just going to do it, mono out of 3 into your pedal, and then mono in of the input 3. You're going to go mono out of output 4 back to mono in of input 4 for 2 pedals, right? And then all we need to do is go back to the top of the unit and press routing. And let me explain to you how we set this up. Okay, so let's say that we've already plugged in either a stereo pedal or 2 mono pedals to the back of the H90. And now we just want to route those through the audio signal path of the H90. It's very simple to do. We just hit the routing button, and we have these 3 hot knobs basically to decide how we want to set up the routing. It's really simple. First off, we have these little symbols here represent the effects algorithms, and we can choose whether we want the audio signal path to be in series, meaning one effect is going to take the output of that effect into the input of the next effect, so we're getting one effect into the other effect, or do we want to run them in parallel, meaning both effects at the same time, side by side, but not one into the next. I really like using parallel mode a lot of the time, but it depends on what I'm trying to use the preset for. What we want to do now is we just need to set up where we want our inserts to go, the pedals that we've plugged in the back of the unit. This is set up currently for 2 mono inserts. So if I've got a mono insert on the left channel, we can see now that I start turning this knob, I can put that actual, pedal through that series of inputs and outputs, rather the insert of that mono insert. I can put that anywhere in the signal path I want, either before or after either of the effects, or before both of the effects, or after both of the effects. Now, if I want to use a stereo insert, all I need to do is turn this second knob all the way to the right, where it just turns into a stereo insert effect. And now it knows that I'm using both of the, inserts 1 and 2. And again, I can route this anywhere I want in the signal path. You see what I mean? I can route it before any of the effects, or either of the effects. I can route it in the middle here. I can route it after either the effects, or after they're combined back together here, and right before it goes to the stereo output. Now, what's cool as well is that if you're using 2 different mono pedals here, you can literally route them again wherever. Whoops, I put that back to a stereo insert. You can route them wherever you want in the chain, so that you could have, one pedal, say like before it enters the effects, and the second pedal after it does the effects. Super cool, and it's really flexible and easy to use and set up this different routing. This is truly a Franken pedal, you guys, truly. In this setup, I'm using the Digitact to provide a beat, and I'm using a MIDI output from the Digitact to get sequencing to the MAM MB33 Retro Bass synthesizer. This is like a Roland 303 clone, so like for acid sounds and whatnot. We're routing the MAM directly into the H90, and I'm utilizing one of the mono effect sends to get the rat pedal routed directly through the H90. How we're doing that is we're routing the effects here in parallel rather than series, and I'm using a mono insert to insert the rat pedal into the mono insert 1 position right before those 2 inserts. So we're getting distortion and then tape echo and then dual verb. Take a listen to what this sounds like. In this example, I've paired up the H90 with the 1010 Music black box. If you're not familiar with the black box, it's a sampling groove box with a built-in sequencer for playing back your loops and samples. The black box is a great pairing with the H90 because it has 3 assignable pairs of stereo outputs. For this example, I've got a really basic dub techno beat started in the black box, and I've got the drums and the bass coming out of the main outputs, but I've routed a special chord stab out of the individual output 2 and routed that directly into the H90. And what I really want you to listen for here is exactly what the H90 is doing to this classic chord stab. How we're turning it from something, I don't know, kind of like a, traditional dub techno sounding chord stab into something a lot more modern. Let's take a listen. In this setup, I'm using the H90 as a sound design tool to help create some extra custom synthwave genre drum sounds using this vintage Roland TR-505. I'm also using the Tricerachorus pedal, and I've got that routed through the H90 using the stereo insert feature. I'm currently working on a rim shot sound, and what I want to do is I want to kind of thicken it up a little bit using the chorus pedal, and then after it gets the chorus, I want to give a little bit of extra spring reverb and flanger to that sound to create sort of like a, like a wispy sounding, more dub sounding type of rim shot sound. Take a listen to what this sounds like. I saved a really special one for last. Let me tell you a little bit about this setup. One of the first things that I thought when I first started playing with the H90 pedal is, wow, this is great. We can load 2 algorithms into it at the same time. That's gotta mean that we can load not 1, but 2 instances of their black hole reverb side by side into the same pedal. Sure enough, I found a preset called Floating in Space, which is literally 2 instances of the black hole reverb side by side. I loaded this into the H90 control app, and I did a little bit of tweaking on it to make the reverb just a little bit longer and just a little bit deeper. And then I've plugged my iPad into the H90 using an audio interface. Here I'm using the Novation Audio Hub 2x4 audio interface, but the type of interface, or brand rather, isn't really relevant here. The point is that I've got the iPad connected directly to the H90. For the music, I'm using an app called MyRack on the iPad, which is a modular synthesizer type of environment like Eurorack. This is basically like VCV Rack for the desktop, but on the iPad. Again, this is called MyRack. I've done quite a few tutorials on this as well, like beginner level tutorials for getting started. So if you want to check out more on MyRack, I'm going to put a link to my playlist of MyRack tutorials up in the corner. All right, let's go ahead and take a listen to what this sounds like. I've written this patch exclusively for the Floating in Space preset to really utilize 2 different black holes in parallel. If we go into the routing here, we can see that I'm routing them in parallel, not series. All right, let's take a listen to what this sounds like. Oh, and one more thing. If you made it this far in the video, thanks a lot for your support. I really appreciate you watching. All right, let's take a listen.